Hello festival goers of the internet, I'm the Festival Finesser, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Hijinx, doing a little review of the artist playing, talking about my experience from the past year I attended in 2019, and also talking about if I'll be attending in 2022, so keep it locked because we're getting into it after the intro.
Can I get it?
Festival Finesser.
Finesse gang, can I get a yer? What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. For those who are new here and don't know me, what's good? I'm the Festival Finesser. I'm a videographer and content creator here on YouTube and Instagram. This is my channel that I focus on music festivals and live going experiences with a focus and concentration on dubstep and rhythm. If you are not following me on a festival day by day, probably follow me at a show in New York, Philadelphia, Maryland, basically anywhere I go, you guys are coming with me. And if you're not following me at a festival or show, probably sitting with me here at this desk, talking about festivals in some way, shape, or form. Today we're talking about Hijinx Festival 2022, doing a little review like we usually do on the channel, talking about these artists that are going to be playing and giving you a quick description of what you guys can expect based on my knowledge. But I also want to talk about Hijinx 2022, or just Hijinx as a whole, because they call themselves a festival, but in my eyes, it's hard to call a one-stage indoor event a festival, even though it has such a crazy lineup. This festival always has a crazy lineup. The year I went in 2019, it was Excision Back-to-Back Slander, Bass Nectar when he was relevant, Skrillex, fucking Porter Robinson. We had a lot of fucking crazy artists. I'm pretty sure Griz played. It was fucking stacked, and it was very heavy, and it was very much for me. And I thought it was just epic, to say the least. You know, Skrillex, Bass Nectar, and Excision, and Slander, that back-to-back, and all four of those artists, you know, those are like the dons, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are all like god tier, you know, artists. And I say god tier with the regards of like, they have a cult fan base following, you know what I'm saying? And I noticed that with Hijinx, man, they always have a lot of like you know, cult type following artists playing to attract mass amounts of people to come to this giant convention center, because Hijinx is, like I said, indoors. It's in the heart of Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and I will say, despite it being indoors, the production is fucking insane, and it really feels like you're at a festival if you dig into the crowd. You know, when you get really close up, like the whole entire front wall is the stage. There is no like, you know, space to the whole entire front is the stage, and they have lasers popping off, they have the confetti, the CO2, the visuals. It's definitely more of an elongated type stage. It doesn't get too high, it's not that massive, but it is massive at length, and the production is crazy and gonna leave your jaw on the floor. That is probably the most, you know, like the best part about Hijinx is the production and the artists that come through. The thing I don't like about it is it is only one stage, and it is inside, so you're in the dark all day, and that could be you know, a pro for some people. You know, it's kind of like that EDC vibe where you're in, you know, it's nighttime sets the whole entire day. It kind of feels like that, you know, at Hijinx. But the one thing that does kind of suck, in my opinion, is if you're not really vibing with the artist play, you have nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing to see. There's nowhere to really kind of hang out. Like I said, you're inside in the dark. And there are, like, you know, places that are lit up, like towards the back of the convention center. It gives more of a festival vibe, and there's vendors and food, but it's not like you have a, you know, as many options as an actual festival. It's very kind of small scale. It's limited. For me, the fact that it's indoors and one stage, it really kind of loses that festival vibe for me. But nonetheless, the artists are crazy, like I say, like I said, and that's always been crazy. But for me, because it attracts a very not a mainstream crowd, but like almost like mainstream artists in a way. And like I said, artists that have massive amounts of followers and just, you know, like hardcore diehard fans, and it's like they will come from far away, and they will come in the masses, you know what I'm saying? So looking at these artists here, we have, you know, as you know, our headliners, tier 1 artists. We have DJ Snake, Flume, Ganja White Knight, Gigantic Nghtmre, which is fucking sick, Griz Back-to-Back Zeds Dead, which is sick, and then Rezz. These are crazy artists, and they all have massive followings. And I feel like that's why Hijinx is one of those festivals that's kind of like, oh shit, we should go, because this is going to be kind of epic. And I think it is, bro. Like, this is very unique in the regards of Griz Back-to-Back Zeds Dead is going to be fucking a whole vibe, and it's going to be sick. And I don't even know what you're going to expect, because both of those artists bring a lot of different vibes in their sets. They can do house, they can do heavy, they can do wobbly, they can do wonka, they can do experimental, they can do house. Did I say that already? They can do melodic. They can do whatever they want. They're so well-rounded, and they can really kind of mix it in, and I'm very interested to see what they're going to bring. I would hope it's a little bit heavier, but I could also see it getting very jumpy and bouncy and housey as well. Gigantic Nghtmre is also very cool, and just something I've never seen before. I don't know if this has actually ever been a back-to-back. I could be wrong. I'm not too big on Big Gigantic or Nghtmre, but I did recently see Big Gigantic at Electric Forest, and it was kind of what I expected. It's a little bit of funky, a little bit of groovy, bouncy, a little bit of house, but also some heavy as well. Definitely kind of reflects Griz, and even Zeds Dead as well. Nghtmre, and it kind of, again, the same thing, gives you, I feel like Nghtmre gives you a little bit more heavy, but he also has that good vibrations kind of energy, bringing you that melodic, and kind of those, like, those Slander vibes. Maybe not as heavy. I feel like Slander goes a little bit harder, but nonetheless, it's going to be heavy, high energy, and those artists are going to put on a show. Both those back-to-backs are fucking sick. And then we have Rezz, Space Mom, giving you that hypnotic, kind of spaced out, I don't even know. It's almost like experimental, but it's very spacey. It's very deep. It's kind of wubby. Not so much wonky, but it's very bassy. Ganja White Night again. The Wobble Boys. Just that Ganja White Night wobble sound. If you don't know it, you will. Once you hear it, you can never unhear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just know Ganja and you hear Ganja, and you know what I'm saying? I love their sets because it's like watching a movie. You know, you can just, the visuals are always crazy, and it really kind of like tells a story, and the music just complements the visuals very well, and it's like something you can, don't even have to dance, you can just watch in awe and just stare at the screen and just listen, and it's actually really kind of cool to just watch the screen and not really try and dance and just like experience the set and like, you know, listen to it as like a movie in a sense rather than music, if that makes sense. Watch the show, not listen to the music. And then Flume is kind of like, I don't really know. I don't think I've ever actually seen Flume. I kind of imagine it being kind of like a Charles the First, Louis the Child kind of vibe. Very like spiritual and feelsy and uplifting and melodic. And you know, I feel like it's gonna be kind of crazy. Maybe like a Porter Robinson kind of vibe as well. You know, but I don't feel like it's gonna be heavy, and I feel like it's gonna be more chill and vibey than crazy and like intense. But DJ Snake, I feel like is gonna like really like fucking just surprise me, you know, and it's gonna be like the sleeper set in my opinion, because it's like DJ Snake is one of those artists who has been around forever. Since I got into EDM, he was always the headliner, and he always fucking was crazy. And as I got, you know, more into the scene, I really kind of went down the path of dubstep and rhythm, and DJ Snake is like all the rest of these artists is very diverse and well-rounded. They can kind of do a little bit of everything, but I have seen some crazy DJ Snake mosh pits, and you know, I feel like DJ Snake plays a little bit more of like trap, but also can get heavy, and just he's one of those artists, you know, his name is DJ Snake, not producer Snake, you know, he's a crazy DJ, so he does make his own music, obviously. As far as his production has not been on my radar since like 2016. I'm not even kidding. It's gonna be kind of cool and like nostalgic to see an artist like that. He is an OG. He is kind of like an icon in EDM that has been around and doing it for a minute. Potentially a pioneer, if you want to call him that. But this top tier is really sick. However, it's not very dubby, and it's not so much even bassy. You know, you get bass with Ganja White Night and maybe Griz and Zeds Dead. They can bring the bass, but I don't know. We're either going to get a lot of everything, which I kind of expect, or they're going to really stick with like one kind of genre and both bounce off of that genre. But I feel like, in my opinion, with both of these artists, the way they're so well-rounded, they're going to give, like, Griz is going to play some house, and Zeds Dead's going to play some house, and then Griz is going to play some heavy, and then Zeds Dead's going to play some heavy, and they're going to, like, just match off each other and feed off each other, and really create a vibe. And Rezz is going to be spacey, hypnotic, like I said. So now we are going to dive into this next tier of artists here. And kicking off, we have Blank, who I'm not all that familiar with. I feel like it's going to give you a lot of you know, just a little bit of everything, similar to these artists above. I feel like Blank is a little bit more melodic and feelsy rather than heavy, but I could be wrong, and I feel like he's going to put on a good show and really rock the crowd. And despite what he produces, he's going to bring a high energy set. Nghtmre, on the other hand, though, is going to be definitely bringing more experimental, wonky, glitchy kind of vibes, G. Jones kind of stuff, Wakan vibes, and that's really all I know. I'm not really into the experimental all that much, and, you know, the Wooka bass, quote-unquote, so I'm not too knowledgeable, and I really don't catch that many sets that often. And artists like Nghtmre are just, like, too weird for me in a sense. You know, some artists like, you know, Peekaboo and AT-Aliens and, you know, Champa and artists like that I can kind of get down with in a sense, and, you know, with the wubs and whatever, but, you know, something like Nghtmre is just a little bit too weird, a little bit too glitchy, and a little bit too experimental for me. Haze, I've been seeing on a bunch of lineups that I'm not very familiar with at all. what kind of vibe it is. Is it melodic? Is it house? I know it's not dubstep because I feel like I would know if it was dubstep because I'm a dubstep dude and this is the dubstep channel. And next up we have Joyride, who is going to be a really fun one to see because he brings a lot of like bass house and bouncy, jumpy vibes, but he can also bring some bass and dubstep as well. And he's also going on tour with Keizo, and I did a review recently of that tour. I don't even know if it's going to be out yet in relation to this video, but it is, they complement each other very well. It's heavy, it's bouncy, you're going to get a little bit of everything, and you're going to have a lot of fun at that set, and it's going to be very high energy. Midas, I'm not familiar with as well. I always confuse this artist with somebody else. I feel like he is a rapper, but I feel like that could be just like another Midas, and I feel like this Midas is more melodic. It also could be bass. I really have no idea, so if somebody could enlighten me on Midas, I'd appreciate it in the comments. And also, if I mislabeled somebody and I'm totally wrong or said something that maybe was incorrect, please let me know in the comments politely and correct me so I can be correct and, you know, have that revision for my next review when I'm talking about these artists, because these artists tend to pop up a lot when I'm doing these reviews. And next up on here, we have probably the heaviest act on the lineup, the homie Point.Blank. I recently got to see Point.Blank at Lost Lands. I saw him play solo. I got to film a couple clips for him at the pre-party. And then I also saw him go back-to-back with Hijinx at that same stage during the festival. It was a very low-key set, but I was hyped that I got to catch both him and Hijinx go back-to-back. When he collabs with other artists, you can really hear that Point.Blank sound, and I'm really hyped to see him on this lineup. And it would be fucking sick to get some content for him because he's let me get it in the past, and he's very cool and just showed mad love to the channel, and maybe we can manifest it and make it happen through this video. Next up, we have another dubstep artist here, the homie Ray Volpe, who has been killing it. He is also going on tour with Keizo, and he again brings kind of like a modernized OG dubstep sound. I put Ray Volpe in the category that I made up myself, fun step. It's very fun, high energy. It's not so much heavy as it is like happy, if that makes sense, but you can mosh to it. It is high energy, and Ray Volpe is very kind of technical. His mixing has a lot of edits, a lot of creative, you know, just vocal samples and like, you know, mashups, and it's really fun, really high energy, and I really fuck with Ray Volpe as a person, his production, his sets, and he's been doing it for a long time, and let's see him get the recognition that he deserves. So big ups to Ray. Next up, we have Rossi, who I'm not familiar with at all, so I'm not going to speak too much on that, but like I said, if you guys could let me in the comments, I'd appreciate it for the future. Next up, we have Troy Boy, who is again going to be very dancey, wonky, groovy. He could also kind of be in that fun step category, but I don't really think Troy Boy is going to be bringing too much heavy. If he is, it's going to be like that mainstream kind of stuff we've already heard before and know, and probably want to hear in some sense. You know, this isn't an underground fest. You're going to be getting a lot of mainstream tracks, a lot of overplayed tracks. You know, being in the heart of Philadelphia, it's a big city, and these artists, these are, you know, mainstream, headlining, top-tier artists that are gonna, you know, attract not only people that are in the EDM scene, but people that just know about EDM. You know, people that have gone to festivals and want something to do for the new year and are in Philly for the weekend, and you know what I'm saying. But it's also gonna bring out these core people that really fuck with Griz and Zeds Dead and Rezz and Ganja White Night and Gigantic Nghtmre and Flula. I cannot stress it enough how core these artists have of a fan base. And it's, this venue can fucking fit so many people, bro. I've never been in a bigger indoor venue, bro. Like, it is fucking huge, and it's so big to the point where it's almost annoying to maneuver through the crowd. Yeah, so the last artist on here is Tsunami, and I'm not familiar with the artist. Also, again, if anybody wants to enlighten me in the comments, let me know. So it's not the biggest festival, quote unquote, and it is only a 2-day event, but it's nice that it's just not too intense. And for me, I mean, it is one of the biggest events on the East Coast during that time. Like, there is probably no other event to this caliber with artists this big and a space this big with this many people and production at this caliber. So it is definitely a crazy event, but what sucks is it's not a crazy event for someone like me who's a dubstep kid and really wants that heavy mosh pit kind of stuff. Yes, there will be moshing, but it's also going to attract a mainstream crowd. There's going to be a lot of shirtless bros off too much testosterone trying to start a pit during Flume. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of shit we're going to be expecting. But overall, it does bring, you know, if you find the right crowd, you can have a good time. And I think you're going to have a good time regardless, despite the kind of crowd it's going to bring, because it's going to be just a lot of unique acts. And it's not going to be so heavy, and it's going to be more stuff you can vibe to and dance to. And I'm excited to potentially be going, so we could talk about that real quick. I have an opportunity to do some content creation and influencer stuff, so that's why I'm doing this. You'll also see some posts on my Instagram promoting the event, talking about tickets and stuff like that. So there is no exclusive ticket link through me. You just have to get tickets generally, and there is no one-day tickets for this festival. That emphasize full sense, so you buy one ticket for 2 days, and Yeah, so I want to go to this festival if it was for free. If I can get that finesse going and get a media pass or something, or get like a, I don't even know, like a guest list pass for doing the promotion and the content creation. If I can get a media pass, that would be sick. If I can get just a GA pass, that would be cool as well. But I really need to be able to go and, you know, get some content. If I couldn't bring my GoPro into this festival, it would almost be kind of pointless for me to go because I've seen most of these artists. I hope I can make it. I hope I can get a media pass. I hope I can get some content. And if I didn't, it would still be a cool, like, you know, final, you know, hurrah for 2022. But I don't know if I want to spend it inside in the dark if I'm not going to be doing what I really like to do. Because I like combining my passions, you know, like EDM and music with video. So if I could only do one, I don't know if it would be worth it, you know, despite... It'd be like, what are you doing here without your camera? You know, that's people would be asking, like, yo, where's your camera? And it's like, oh, I couldn't bring it. I wasn't allowed. It's like, you couldn't bring your camera into this festival? You are the festival finesse. That's what you do. So, like... yeah, I hope we can make it happen. I have these connects at Live Nation and, you know, Hijinx and whatever, so I have a contact. Hopefully I can talk to this contact and propose an idea. So that is my review. That is what I think about Hijinx Festival. And if you want more detailed information and perspective, I have a 2019 vlog on the channel of the 2 days. I also have a review of the festival experience after the fact, talking about, you know, my experience, and a more in-depth review right after I went to the festival. And I also have a kind of a controversial debate, as Hijinx worth it. And yeah, so all these videos are on the channel. They're a little old, outdated 2019, but I feel like a festival like this, not too much is going to change. You know, that there's not too much they can do with the space, and the only thing that I think is going to change is, you know, the layout of the back. You know, the bathrooms, the food, the vendors, and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like the production and the layout of, you know, the actual stage is going to be the same, and you can really get a good perspective of the experience through the vlogs, and you can learn more about what to expect, you know, after the fact from the review. So again, thank you guys for watching on the Festival Finesser, and I'll see you for another review or a vlog very soon. Peace out.